our next guest, Blaine Fowler, band of
Uncle
brothers. Blaine, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation, man. How you doing?
I'm good. What's going on, guys?
We're just trying to figure out how in the world Kyle Collinsworth picked up a fifth triple-double 11 months after his ACL surgery. Have you been able to figure it out?
Yeah, he's redonkulous. That's like one step. That's one step above ridiculous. He's just absolutely redonkulous. So,
What was your initial reaction to Kyle breaking the record, and then when you saw the fallout on SportsCenter and all over social media?
well deserved, first of all. And you know what? When he got to 3 way back when, you and I were talking, Spencer, I thought he'd get 6 or 7 this year, just because BYU's had to rely on him so much in the rebounding game. And when he's playing the point, he's going to get assists. He's got such great vision. So to me, the question is, does he score double figures, which he does? You knew that it was going to happen. I mean, he's just that good. He's just such a unique talent. How many guys his size have the handles that he has with the basketball and then have the ability to go from the guard line and rebound? And then he's in a unique situation where they have to have him rebound. And so where they're not getting production in the rebounding game out of their front line, they're telling them, listen, you go after every board, offense, defense, you go. We'll rotate somebody else back to defend transition, but your job is to rebound the basketball. He's unbelievably talented, but if BYU had 2 big guys that were rebounding the heck out of the basketball, his rebound total might be a little less. So with the way it's set up and the way this team is playing and what they rely on him to do, I still think he gets another one and maybe 2 before the season's over.
Uncle B, do you think that him breaking the record will really help build his resume for the NBA, and maybe in more particular for going next year instead of staying for his senior year?
I think he needs to stay for his senior year and show the NBA folks that he has the range to shoot the basketball. And so I think for that reason he'll come back. And his size makes him a really, really intriguing NBA guy, because you can put him out there. We talk about Tyler Haws, and the worry for him is the in-between sizes. He shoots it really well. He's taken his outside shooting game to another level, so now his range is back to NBA 3. But there's always that question, wait a minute, is he quick enough to play point? Is he big enough to play the 2 or the 3? Can he guard people? Where with Kyle Collinsworth, you go, oh my goodness, he's a huge point. Can he play the point in the NBA? And then people will go, well, does he go and play the 2? If he's going to play the 2, guys that play the 2 in the NBA shoot lights out. And so that's the question on Kyle right now. And I think he's got everybody's attention now. And then they're going to look and say, okay, now let's watch and see how much he improves his ability to shoot the ball between now and next year. And if he takes a step forward just from an athletic standpoint, where they go, he's big, he's agile, he can jump out of the gym, he can be physical, I think he can play in the NBA. But he's got to take that ability to shoot the basketball and show us that he can improve. And you want to know what? I don't doubt him one bit. Look what he did with his free throw shooting from last year to this year.
Right.
He answered that question. Now he goes and he answers the jump shooting question. And I think from a size perspective, he's a nice fit.
Dave Rose had some interesting comments about Kyle after the game, and I agree with him. He said that while it's amazing, quote, I hope we're not to the point where that's how Kyle, needs to play in order for us to be successful. Okay, we asked Kyle Collinsworth this question. He said, well, we need to rebound and find a way to get stops late in close games. Blaine, where do you see BYU needing to improve to be successful without having to rely so heavily on Kyle Collinsworth, if there is another option?
Well, so here's the problem they have so far. Look at last week as just a microcosm of their world for this year. So at Pepperdine, they just struggled to defend inside without fouling. And so in order for them to win that game, Kyle would have had to have a superhuman effort. And he had for him, a double-double, like we get worried when he only has 13 points and 10 rebounds, It's just like, oh, a real off night for Kyle Collins. We'd all take that, right? And they got scoring in that game, out of Anson Winder and Halford, but it just wasn't enough because they couldn't defend inside. They only got 8 rebounds out of their front court in that game against Pepperdine. And Pepperdine's 2 starting forwards, Jet Raines and Stacey Davis, they were 20 of 24 from the free throw line. They attempted 24 free throws.
That's crazy.
In the game. 36 points they had combined. They were 8 of 11 from the field. So we just couldn't defend inside. Their quickness inside and their veteran play inside just cost us all kinds of problems. So no matter how well we're playing, unless Kyle's superhuman and BYU shoots lights out, there's just no chance for them. And they did, they shot 47% from the field, but they let Pepperdine shoot 49%, and they were only 4 of 17 from inside 3-point line. So there's one thing inside. They just couldn't defend. Now they go against Loyola, and they do a better job. Even though Okonji and Mornar had 25 points between them, they were 10 of 9 from the field. That's still too much. But they defended better without fouling. They were only 3 of 5 from the free throw line. And BYU was dominant on the glass. They out-rebounded by 17, so plus 17 in rebounding margin. But LMU's not as good inside as Pepperdine is. They're not as athletic inside as Pepperdine is. And so the big glaring deficiency right now is that BYU, when they play against teams with good scorers and active guys inside, are struggling to rebound and they're struggling to defend inside. And then the only way BYU wins is if they're superhuman shooting the basketball. They've got to be unbelievable. Now, they get Pacific and St. Mary's this week. They shot the ball really well against both of these teams the last time they played. In fact, they were lights out against Pacific. And they scored really, really well. Against St. Mary's, they actually shot the ball really well, but they had a minus 13 rebounding disadvantage. So these are two teams they can beat, but they've got to get more production, especially defensively, inside if they're going to have a chance, especially when they're facing Waldo.
Blaine Fowler with us on BYU Sports Nation, breaking down Kyle Collinsworth's record-setting performance for triple-doubles in a season, and now taking a look ahead at a critical home stretch for BYU basketball. You brought up St. Mary's on Thursday, Pacific on Saturday. St. Mary's has the only guy in the NCAA that's averaging a double-double, Blaine, Brad Waldo, 20 points and 10 rebounds. Who can answer the challenge against Brad Waldo inside from what you have seen this year for BYU?
Well, they're going to have to do it by committee. And he's a little different. He's not like Jet Raines and Stacey Davis from Pepperdine because he's more physical than they are. He's the most physical post player in the league. So that's a completely different challenge. He just overwhelms you with power. And with him, the key to defending him is defend him before he gets the basketball. You got to be tough with him. You've got to make him catch the ball 3 or 4 feet out further than he's comfortable and make him shoot shots there just a little bit further. And then you got to get a body on him in the rebounding game. And so when they played BYU the last time, he gets 24 and 14. That's just a normal game for Waldo. It's just a normal game for Brad Waldo, right? They've got to be more efficient against him and make him make tougher shots. He can't be 10 of 15 from the field, and that's what he was in that first game. So you just have to make him shoot. If you can keep him to 40% from the field and keep his rebounds down to 8 or 9, man, you've done an unbelievable job on that guy. And so it really is on the big guys to do a good job, and maybe a little bit by committee. Corbin Kafusi's got to do a good job of defending without fouling, and that's a tough thing when you're playing against somebody like that. In the first meeting, he had four fouls, and so you're going to have to get Andrus to play some minutes against him, Isaac Nielsen to play some minutes against him, Corbin Kafusi to play some minutes against him, Luke Worthington to play some minutes.
How about Josh Sharp?
Yeah, and you know what? Josh Sharp was impressive in that LMU game. What does he do? He comes off the bench or comes in and starts at that forward position for the first time in a long, long time, and he goes and gets 7 boards, at 4 of them on the offensive end. And the problem for Josh against Waldo is he matches up better with LMU's big guys because they're not quite as physical as Brad Waldo. And so, but Sharp can be a complementary rebounder out there. If you're starting Corbin at the center and he's playing defense, now at least you got Josh Sharp weak side rebounding over there and getting you some things done. You think about that LMU game. Kafusi had 6 boards and Josh Sharp had 7 boards. The front line had 16 boards combined compared to that Pepperdine game where they had 8 total rebounds from that front line. But they need to get 16 to 20 rebounds out of the front line against St. Mary's if they're going to have a chance in that one.
I know somebody that Dave Rose could use on the football team. Of course, Mendenhall just picked up 6'7", 410 pounds. Morocca Longi, is that how you pronounce it?
Motekiai Taukolo Longi.
Yes.
We'll just call him Longi. And you know what? Here's the one thing he could do against Brad Waldo. I guarantee you that if he tries to move Brad Waldo out a little bit further off the block, that he could do that. He can definitely. He might be able to push Brad Waldo all the way out to the elbow, But then Brad Waldo's going to catch the ball face up and blow right by him. That's going to be the problem.
Blaine, BYU won social media this week with Kyle Collinsworth rounding it out, the NCAA record 5th triple-double in a single season, and then Media Day, I mean, he was greater than Snoop Dogg's son, Cordell Broadus. Okay? How in the world did BYU and Morocca Longi win on such an important day? And there goes something from the set.
Bye-bye.
On such an important day in sports.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, because there just haven't been guys that size that come into the game. And, I mean, his story is such an interesting story because he's not played. So we really don't know. Everybody's covering the beginning of this story. And so when he gets back and he lines up, I mean, can he play a lick? We don't know. I mean, it would seem like he's agile enough from looking at him in rugby and some of these other things. He looks like he's got decent feet, but we don't know if he has an ounce of meanness in his body to get out there with pads on and play. And people go, well, look what BYU did with Ziggy, right? Well, Ziggy's like a freak of nature.
Right.
Like, nobody runs that fast for how big he is. It's ridiculous. Like, you can't. So with him, you look at Ziggy and they go, okay, we figure out something with this guy. Like, if worst case scenario, he can run down and cover kicks because he's a huge guy that can run. So with Longi, it's just like it really is a long shot. But if he can be a little bit mean and he can hold the line of scrimmage, imagine them putting him in at the nose and just saying, you know what, just bull rush and knock these two guys back into the backfield. That changes the game. When you think about University of Utah, when Star Lotulelei was there, every single game you had to game plan because he was just so strong. He could knock two of your offensive linemen back into the backfield.
Yeah.
So you change your entire offense to game plan around a defensive tackle or a nose. If this kid can live up to his size and be a dominant physical player inside, man, all of a sudden BYU's middle backers get back up there with 100 tackles like we like to see him have.
Blaine, great.
He's eating blocks.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Blaine, great to talk to you as always. Kyle Collinsworth with a triple-double record and Morocca Longi hopefully dominate some fools on the defensive line. We'll talk to you soon again, Blaine.
All right, guys. Good to talk to you.